What is going on, dreamers? Okay, so we are reacting to two of my favorites, two of my besties on YouTube. They just don't know that they're my besties yet, but they'll find out eventually. Ava and Preach. So today they are having a discussion around feminist spaces and the rise of lonely men. There was this woman, and her video is in the link in the description down below, as well as the link in the description of their video if you want to go watch the full video. They had a reaction to this woman who was discussing the rise of lonely men and whether or not women should care about it. So let's see what they have to say. Let's see what she has to say. Let's get right into it.
The 2010s as well, you saw a lot of people talking even more about toxic masculinity, mansplaining, like literally, y'all, I'm not gonna lie. It felt like anything men did, we were like, what? Why are you breathing?
Dynamite's gonna make everything all right.
Euphoria, shut the up. I know that was you. I ain't even gotta look. I should send you back to Crenshaw P with his high coat hangers. Would you like that?
Literally anything men did, we were so agitated.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I mean, hey, listen. Once that 2015 started hitting around, I realized, like, oh, men are always the problem.
I mean, but let's be real here. Like, when have we not been the problem? Like, we have always been the reason why women complain. Like, if they didn't have a reason to complain, they blamed their men. It was the same. It was what we did to them too. Like, it's how relationships work, bro. Like, if I get home and I'm mad about what happened the rest of the day, I'm gonna look at the stove like, yo, why the stove dirty? And I'm just gonna take it out on my girl. Like, you feel me? That's what we do. But I feel like that started to get twisted a little bit. It started to get twisted and turned into, well, men are the problem and the patriarchy. And it started to get ugly. But let's see what our boys got to say.
Yo, as a dude, you can live your whole life, be the greatest person possible, never break the law. Bruh, they still look at you like you're a potential predator at every turn. And you just gotta own that. Why? Because you were born with a dick and it's your birthright. Same way as niggas, police gotta look at us a certain way. People gotta look at us as we're a bit of a threat because we're more likely, it is what it is. That is something that we have to live with. That is our privilege, quote unquote. We're always seen as a threat. I can't even be around kids that aren't part of my family and feel comfortable. You wanna work in a daycare as a man, you're probably a pedo.
Fuck that shit.
You think I'm joking? They won't even hire you for that reason because as a man, they view you that way.
I will say, I disagree a little bit on that. And I feel like that stigma is a large portion of why my current work field is so underrepresented by males. Like, I was a child development specialist for about a year. The kids loved me, and having a male role model, especially for young boys, was so important. Like, half of these dudes, their fathers were a piece of shit. They were raised by single moms, or they weren't raised by parents at all because they were in the foster system. And just having someone, especially around my age, who they could look at as like an older brother, or some of them as like a father figure, was the difference. You would literally see when like the male staff were around versus when the female staff were around. Like, they would act completely different. When we talked, they would strict. But when the ladies talked, they sort of gave them back sass, and they would be a little bit more physically aggressive. The young boys I'm talking about, they'd be aggressive towards staff, and then we'd have to call over the male staff, and we had to wrap them little niggas up. But you feel me? It was a part of the program. We were trained. But yeah, I do see where he's coming from though, in terms of if you're a male working in a field that's like taking care of children and stuff, you definitely have that stigma attached to you, and it fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's a heavy thing to live with. It's a heavy thing to live with, that I constantly got to be aware of the fact that I'm perceived as a threat, even though I don't put my hands on nobody, even though I do nothing. That is my burden. I don't know about y'all, but every time they talk about this toxic masculinity and the male privilege, they never really talk about any of the shit that we got to really struggle with.
And I'm not saying it wasn't deserved isn't the best word. I'm not saying that it hadn't been earned over time. The reaction, the response, the reaction. A lot of us were also talking about the patriarchy, like, man, F the patriarchy, like the way the patriarchy set up, freaking patriarchy. I think a lot more men have a responsibility to, y'all, stop listening to these dating guru men. Why are you listening to these ashy men? I don't understand, because if I want to figure out, you know what, never mind. There are resources out there, and it's daunting because it's a lot of information, but fellas, y'all gotta expand your definition of feminism, because it can't just be, oh, I'm sex positive and I think women should get paid the same. Like, girl, that's not, yes, lovely, beautiful gowns. Okay, so let's move on. Like, there's way more to it, And I think a lot more men would find a lot more of the freedom and, again, humanity that they're seeking if they just gave us a chance and listen. That's why the stuff that Fika's doing, whew, God, the Lord's work.
You want us to listen? Are you what?
She just said, guys, you guys got problems. Feminism is your solution. Bro, this is a throwback to when I was in my this is 10, 12 years ago. Jeez. When I was going to campuses and they were saying, like, why do you need men's rights activists? Feminists have, I'm going to ask the men out here. Have you guys ever felt welcomed in feminist spaces? Did you guys ever feel free to speak whatever you wanted to say? Did you guys?
As a recent college graduate, I could tell you this, right? As a person of color, that's the only reason why I was as accepted in the feminist group as I was. They wanted to onboard me basically because I was black. Like they literally were like, all right, you're a person of color, you're oppressed like us. Let us hear your story. And it was like, bro, there's no way that you think that as a man, I'm just gonna hop on to being a victim of some fucking system and be like, all right, yes, this is my story, I'm a victim. No, I want to feel empowered by what I'm able to accomplish, as a result of being tested by the reality of the world. I don't want to be a product of that victimization of the world and be like, well, yeah, the world is fucked up and that's what it is. Like, no, I want to be able to be like, yo, the world is fucked up and this is what I was able to accomplish as a result of that. But like Abba was saying, a lot of the people that were in my college that were proud and true feminists, I wasn't necessarily excluded because I was a man, because I was black. White men, they get spat on, bro. It doesn't matter where like my best friend in college, his name was TJ, right? He was a white man, but he loved culture. Like he was a fan of culture, man. You never not hear that man listening to 50 Cent, Ja Rule, old school rap, wearing a fucking jersey with a backwards cap or something. That was my guy. TJ was my guy, right? As a white male, bro, there was not a single feminist that if he even spoke up about being raised poor, which he was, or going through struggle, which his family did, which in terms of addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, things like that, something he experienced a lot in his childhood. And because he's white, he's privileged, so shut the fuck up. It was just, it was weird, and it made me really like separate from the sociological aspect of the criminal justice work.
I've been to the spaces. Let me tell you, you're a straight male. As a black man, I get a little extra space because I meet niggas. But if you are white,
that just means you can sit.
Listen, she just went through this whole thing about how in 2017 y'all was shitting on men at every turn when they were breathing. At the same time, she's telling you guys,
listen,
why don't you just like take feminists in and like understand their space, like expand your definition. She just got done saying, y'all, we were shit on y'all couldn't do nothing. At the same time, feminist is your answer. They want to convince you that a movement that was for women's ability to get equality, to have their rights being actualized, is also going to be a movement that's going to raise men. Man, I got no problem with feminism. Do your thing. It was necessary for women to get to where they need to get to. Cool. But now they're trying to tell you don't have your own things or don't have your own movements. These things aren't good because we're the ones with the answer.
For the straight ladies out there, do what you can to be as patient as you can. You don't have to do anything, again. But if you are someone who wants to practice that muscle of hope, if you're in the mood for it, and you're trying to be more compassionate to the men in your life, just start talking with them a little more. I've been talking with my little brother a little bit more. And it's not like we talk a shit ton more than we used to, but like it's a bit more, and he's just been opening up more. And it's so nice. I'm like, you have somebody to talk to. It's me.
Hey, listen, I'm glad your brother's talking to you. But you remember that thing that I told you about before? And I never had like tangible examples. You remember what I was talking about?
Yeah, when women really fantasizes our feelings and shit, or whatever we talk about.
When
we open that, when they fantasize on our
emotions
and shit.
Like when we become vulnerable, women make our vulnerability and our emotions about them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he opened up to me and it's just so sweet.
She's like,
I'm so proud that you chose me. Like,
you talking to me and you're opening up to me, so that's empowerment. Me opening up empowers you. It's not about you. God damn it, it's about the feelings I got.
But that's what I was saying before. And people get, no, that's not. I promise you.
Yep.
I've heard comments and just some of the things and the way this look at ladies, I could tell like, oh, this isn't about me. This is about you getting to know parts of me that I don't tell other people. You've turned a moment where I'm sharing something that's like really difficult for me, and you've made it about you. And then you say, why don't guys open up more? It's because of that. When I go talk to my niggas, I've literally never heard them ever say, I'm so proud that you opened up. Never! I tell them stuff, and the first thing they yo, my nigga, you good?
Yo, you good?
Yo, what can I do to help? What can I do to help you? Ladies, on the other hand, oftentimes have done this thing where I'm emotionally vulnerable, and it's like, this is like their new pet project to fucking dissect or something.
That kind of goes back to what I was saying in terms of like when I was in college and they would be like, let me hear your story about being a black man growing up in America or being a immigrant coming from Jamaica and having to adapt to the cultural differences. It's like, yo, y'all really just want to know this so y'all can add this to y'all website. So y'all can add this to y'all stories of how you promoted diversity and inclusion by accepting this Jamaican baby into your college and allowing him to, it's like, bro, so you're just going to discredit all the work it took me for y'all to even look at my application, pass these classes, graduate cum laude, all of that. Y'all gonna overlook that and just be like, this is about us and our ability to be diverse and inclusive. It's complete bullshit. And also, the message that the woman was trying to propagate is also complete bullshit. You're not an environment that is positively acceptable to men, which is why we have such a problem with the feminist movement. The feminist movement is exactly as it implies. It is for females. It is for females. So even if a man proclaims to be a feminist, it really is against everything that feminists stand for. You're against the patriarchy, you're against men being in positions of power. So it's either we subjugate ourselves to being subordinates of you, or we stay on the outside and we're your enemies. That's all it is. Not what it's become, that's what it's been since the beginning. It was a exclusionary movement that was thrown into an even more exclusionary movement to now include things like the LGBTQ plus community and anti-patriarchy and all of that. So with that being said, if you would like to head over to Abraham Preach's channel, watch the full video. This is literally like still more than half the video left. I'm not going to react to the whole thing because I don't want to spoil that for them. Then after you're done, head over to the original video and give her a full watch. Her video is a bit longer, it's about 35 minutes, but just to be able to actually get the full perspective about what she was talking about and develop your own opinions, feel free to do that as well. But before you do that, leave a like on my video, leave a comment about what you think about this topic, because it's something that I'm very passionate about. It's something that I love talking about with this community because it's been on the rise. And make sure you subscribe, turn the bell notification on. And if you would like, send your boy some cash. Send your boy some cash. But anyways, man, dreamers out.